everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Christina. I'm a new mum. My baby is 10 months old. Oh my god, it's gone so quick. He's called CJ, a little boy. But in today's video, I thought we've just got back. Well, what you've seen is we've just gone back from Florida for a 2-week holiday, and when I started packing, I really struggled with. We went when he was 6 months, and there was nothing really out there to tell you what to take on holiday with a 6-month-old. So this is what I'm going to do in today's video. I hope you enjoy. Grab a pen and paper, write some notes, what you need, get the list going, and let's get into it. So top tip, before even deciding to pack, go on your hotel's website and see if they have like a laundry room, tumble dryer, washing machine, etc. This would be a big hack of mine. If you're going away for 2 weeks, pack 1 week's worth of clothes for your baby and yourself and whoever's going, because this is a game changer. Just take some washing pods or buy them out there, and then you can wash what you have, and you don't have to take as much then. And when you've got a baby under 1, there's a lot of stuff you need to take in the first place, so this will just reduce everything and make your luggage lighter. And if you're going somewhere where you want to bring merch home, this is also great because there'll be more room in your suitcase. So let's start off with the plane, going through customs, etc. Because I feel like this is the part where you're probably most overwhelmed and don't know what to pack. So in your hand luggage, you can take a formula. Pre-mixed formula you can take, powder you can take. Make sure the powder is sealed and the formula bottles are sealed. I also recommend investing these. So these are like Tommy TP's prep machines for milk and formula. This one is definitely a game changer because you fill this up with hot water, and at the top when it goes blue it means it's ready if you tap it, so it cools it down for you, so you don't have to like wait around and stuff. So you can just ask someone around to get boiling hot water, fill this up, and then when you need a bottle of milk for your baby, it's there, easy to prep. These were great on holiday to save money, but I personally preferred just using the formula just for ease that are pre-mixed bottles on the flight, just so we know we had them and we could get access to them. But if you did want to save that little bit of money, just take some powder, and these were great. I'll link everything I've mentioned down below in the comments. Obviously, if you're breastfeeding, you won't need to worry about any of that. I don't really have too many tips for breastfeeding because I didn't do it, but I'm sure you can also take expressed milk through with you as well, as long like they will just test it in their machines as you go through customs, which is good to know because if you're flying without a baby, you can't take anything above 30 ml, but the bottles are like 300 ml or something like that, and they're good to go as long as they're sealed. So it's the same, I think, with expressed milk. So that's also a pro tip. Get expressing before, put it in the fridge and take it through with you, so it's not as much of a faff if you find it uncomfortable whipping it out, in public. That is also a good alternative. I feel like this is kind of a standard and every mum will know this once you become a mum. Take spare clothing for your baby. When we were in Florida, luckily we had like a lot of spare clothing in our hand luggage for the little one, because you never know when an explosion is going to happen. And when you're on a plane, obviously the pressure of the plane, etc. Your bowels are doing things, whether it's making you constipated, making you go. We've all been there, and it's the same for your baby. So just bear that in mind. Take some extra clothes just for the plane because you never know what's going to happen. In terms of the airport as well, if you're flying from quite a busy airport. So when we flew out to Florida, we went from Heathrow Terminal 3. And if you've ever been in Heathrow, it's a very busy airport and it's quite small, in my opinion, compared to like Gatwick, for example. And when you have a baby, I guess you want to sit down, you want to relax. There's a lot going on. You get overwhelmed, and yeah, it's just quite an overwhelming experience. So if you can afford to do so, I would 100% recommend booking the lounges for flying out. Not so much flying home, but yeah, the lounges, like the Heathrow out lounges, depending where you're flying to, are great. I mean, we did a long haul flight and it was 2 weeks. So it was a long holiday for us, but I would still recommend that if you're going to somewhere like Spain, like in Europe, because it makes the whole experience a little bit more enjoyable, and you can relax, the baby can relax, like you have your own toilets, you can have your own drinks, and it's just a little bit easier and less manic. Also, before you fly or when you get onto the flight, if you are doing a long haul flight like we did, ask for, when you're booking your seats, book the seats with the bassinet, and also ask for the bassinet. On Virgin, when we flew with Virgin, you couldn't have the bassinet until you were up in the air, and then obviously for landing you had to take the bassinet out, which was all good. But then when we came home with Delta Airlines, it was a little bit different. There wasn't as strict rules. So CJ was literally lying out on, it was an empty flight, so he had like 2 seats to himself. So it all varies, but just to be on the safe side, if you're doing the long haul flight, or even I would recommend asking for the bassinet. You don't get these on short haul flights, which can be annoying, but maybe ask if it's possible for the extra leg room, or try and book them. I know they get snapped up super quickly, but if you can, get it, because I would recommend it, because then that way, if you want, the baby can lay down, kick on the floor. If they're crawling, they can have a little wander, etc., etc. It just keeps them a bit more entertained on the flight. This could be a little bit controversial, but there's only so much you can entertain a baby under 1 with yourself and what you bring with you. So we took CJ a little bag of hand luggage where we put toys, like little plastic toys in, teethers, things that will entertain an under 1-year-old. Obviously, he was 6 months, so he didn't really need entertaining too much. But I know this can be controversial, but I would 100% recommend, if you have one, taking an iPad, your phone, downloading YouTube content for your baby or programs your baby likes, because this will help you times 100. Like, CJ was ill and he loves his shows when we were doing our long haul flight. Bearing in mind his first flight was 10 hours long, which is a very bold move as parents, as probably naive new parents, that we would be fine on the flight. To be fair, it was fine. It wasn't that bad. Like, if you're planning to do it or thinking of doing it, 100% go for it. Once you're in it, it's fine. I feel like when they're younger, it's actually a lot easier than when they're a little bit older in the toddler stages, because they're not wandering around. But going off tangent, yeah, download films and programs that they love on your phones, your iPads, because you don't get Wi-Fi unless you pay for it, and we never pay for it. So that is a big must, because if your baby's just tired and whiny, you can just pop that in front of them. They might want cuddles, they might want to be on you the whole time, but at least it's entertaining them and they're a bit more relaxed. So I did buy these ear defenders for CJ, mainly for the fireworks at Disney World, because that's where we went on our first holiday with him. However, he didn't use them. He didn't need them, he didn't use them. But I do think it's a good thing to take, because you never know what your baby, especially if it's their first flight, you never know how their ears, how they're going to react going up and down on your flight. So these ear defenders are quite good. They will help stop the popping and just the noise around, which might, I don't know, scare your baby, but also it might be uncomfortable. So I don't know if that will also help with the ear popping. On top of that is another little tip. I know this can vary as well, because your baby only wants food at certain times, but if you can, feed your baby when taking off and landing, because this will obviously help with the ear popping. It's like when we suck a sweet going up and down. If you do that, if you know, you know, or chewing gum or whatever, just make sure they're trying to suck something, even a dummy. CJ didn't like dummies, but dummies obviously will help. So yeah, just take that kind of stuff in your hand luggage to make sure that the flight can go as smoothly as possible. Easier said than done, but most people are nice about you on a plane with a baby. Most people didn't even know we had a baby because CJ was very good on the flight. However, that's not the case for everyone, and every baby is different. So if your baby is struggling on the flight, try not to panic about what everyone else is thinking. It's likely that they've been there in the past and they've experienced this and know what you're going through and know how tough it is. So just try and focus on your baby in that moment. Obviously, it can be very stressful, but try walking around the plane, going up and down. Obviously, easier when we're in the air than takeoff and landing and they're having issues or tantrums or whatever you want to call it. They're just not happy. That's obviously a little bit easier. But if they are unhappy, in takeoff and in landing, there's only so much you can do as parents. So you're just going to have to kind of grin and bear it. Like I said, toys, entertainment, phones, etc. will help. But if they're in pain from like earache or ear popping or just don't like the experience going up and landing, then like deal with it. There's only so much you can do. So just as a mum to mum, don't worry too much about what other people think. And especially when you're on a plane, most people, there will be other kids around on that plane. It's likely. So just take it all in. I wouldn't not go on holiday. If you're watching this to kind of persuade yourself to go on holiday, just go for it, because you only live once. Being a parent shouldn't stop you from doing what you want to do. And at the end of the day, your baby's going to love it once they get there. So it's just a little hurdle for when they get there. So just bear that in mind. It could be a hurdle. It could be a stepping stone. But everyone's likely to have been there in the past or know how you're feeling in that moment when there's a lot going on that plane and there's a lot of pressure on you as parents to stop your baby from crying. But just remember, take a breather and just try and focus on your baby to get them through to the other side. Okay, moving on to what you need to kind of pack for your holiday. I'm just going to base this off a 2-week holiday because most people do go away for either 10 days to 2 weeks when they're going abroad. So I'm just going to base it on 2 weeks, but take everything with a pinch of salt. If you need to add more, add more. If you need to take less, take less. But like I said at the beginning, double check your hotel to see if they have like a laundry service, because that is definitely a game changer when you have a baby, and that will also minimize the stuff you need to take. So nappies, recommend taking more than you need. We took 2 packs of nappies and 2 packs of water nappies. Depending if you're doing like an all-inclusive, I would take more water nappies because most of the day they will be in water nappies. But if you're going to like Disney World like I did, we're not in the pool all day, so we need the nappies. And sometimes as well, you obviously can buy that stuff abroad, but sometimes it's more expensive. So just bear that in mind. If you don't want to take that leap and buy it beforehand, because me and Aldi are like best friends when it comes to nappies, basically either pack it or don't pack it. Buy it when you get there. When we went, CJ was just turning to get like food, like trying different foods. As much as there's a lot of sugar in the pouches, they are a lifesaver, like especially when you're days out going abroad on holiday. Like it's literally a one-off kind of thing, but in a 2-week holiday. So I would take like the pouches. That's also another thing I would take on the plane. So like he loves, I call them puffs, but they're like cauliflower crisps. I think they are called puffs. He loves them from Aldi, the Ella's Kitchen puffs. The snacks, take some snacks on the plane. And obviously, if you're not buying stuff out there when you're on holiday, take some with you because, yeah, you're going to need it. And it's also a tip as well to look when you're buying or booking your holiday, check to see what supermarkets are around and if there is any, because you're going to maybe need a backup just in case. So, for example, when we were in Florida, we had to go to Target because CJ dropped all his teethers and we just didn't know when we were walking around. Like, he just flung them out the pram. They were gone. So to either take extra teethers, clip them onto them, or find somewhere that's going to have them. Like, make sure there's an emergency shop somewhere just in case, because that can be quite like overwhelming if like they're teething and you haven't got anything with you. So they were good. And then also the Ickle Bickle bricks, they're good for teething to take with you. I think they're called Ickle Bickle bricks, I don't know, but I got them from Superdrug. And you can also sort of buy stuff like this at the airport, but it will be a lot more pricey. So it just depends where you want to save money, where you don't. 3 things you should definitely pack are nappies/water nappies, teethers or dummies. If your child likes dummies, both. I would recommend taking both, personally. Hats, vests. I would take a week's worth of vests, a week's worth of sleep suits, shorts and t-shirts and stuff like that. I would also take a week's worth. The sun cream I absolutely love is by Bondi Sands. I think this is the best sun cream out there to date, and I'd recommend taking this with you. This is the sun cream we take. I absolutely love this. And it's factor 50, goes on smoothly, water resistant, fragrance free, and it lasts all day. You don't really need to top this up. We do, obviously, normally do it about twice a day before we leave and whatnot, and I've never ever had any problems with this. Obviously, this one is a big bottle, so what we do is actually dispense it into travel bottles like this, and these are great just to shove in your beach bag, your park bag, wherever you're going on holiday. These are just so much easier and they last. I would also recommend just filling a couple of these up because they will last you your whole holiday, so you don't have to take the big bottle with you. Wet wipes, I'd recommend taking 3, hand sanitizer, moisturizer in what you use on your baby already. Everything that you kind of use already, I would take with you. We also bought a little blow up rubber ring thing for CJ because he obviously can't swim. So stuff like that you need to buy obviously before your trip. Swimming trunks, I'd only like swimming outfits if you've got a girl. I'd only take like 1, to be honest, because you can dry them, or maybe 2. Towels as well. Like, most hotels have a towel, so I wouldn't actually take towels. For the little one, I would take maybe 1 towel, 1 bath towel. We didn't take, which we did find hard because he was only 6 months, but washing, we didn't take our like bath caddy thing that they have in the bath. If you know, you know. We just tried doing it ourselves in the shower. I mean, I feel like it is definitely a 2-person job when you have a 6-month-old, but you don't need to take it. You can get by. And it's the same with kind of like, I'd take the baby wash stuff just in case it irritates their skin. But for you, that most hotels have like body wash and whatnot, and you can buy that really in the shop. So I wouldn't bother taking a lot of that kind of stuff. I mentioned earlier, like clip type things that attach to your dummy. I would attach them to your teethers, your dummies, and attach them to the pram. The other thing that was really good with traveling, we just took CJ's a rucksack, but I would actually recommend, I think that was a bad decision on our part, for the hand luggage, I would take his actual nappy bag, because you could fit more in it and it was just easier. When you board your flight, you can take your travel prams to the gate. The travel pram we used, I actually recommend. I'll leave it linked below and I'll put it on screen here. It folds right down. It's a good pram. It has a good hood on it for the shade. and it was just a good little travel pram, and I would highly recommend. The only thing it didn't have, so on our main pram, you had clips, but you can buy these clips, and I would 100% recommend buying them whether you're going on holiday or not, because if you have extra bags that you want to put on your pram that don't fit underneath, these are great. So I'll show you a picture here of the clips, and I'll link them below, because these are actually a game changer for just carrying stuff on your pram. And the travel pram that we have, that I recommend down below, doesn't have any type of clips, so you'll need to buy these hand in hand. Another top tip when you're going on holiday, look at the weather, because your baby needs to be warm enough, and if they're not, they're going to have a tantrum. Like, it's just the way it is. And wouldn't you, if you're cold, you'll be moaning. It's like for like, right? So make sure you look at the weather. That was the hard thing for us when we went to Florida. We went the end of Jan, beginning of Feb. The weather wasn't the warmest on the first week, and especially in the evenings. So CJ had a full-on pram suit. So check the weather when you're going, what time of year you're going. If you think it's going to be cooler, take the pram suit. Better be safe than sorry. As well, based on that, you kind of have to logically think, do you need jumpers, longer t-shirts, etc. If you're obviously going on a hot holiday where it's unlikely, you won't need any of that. But if you do, just bear that in mind. And also just remember, if they do have laundry service, don't overpack, because you definitely don't need to. And it's really easy 9 times out of 10 to use it. But just double check their websites for all this information. Speaking of double checking this information, ask your hotel if you can have a microwave in your room, especially if you're not breastfeeding. This was a game changer. So sterilizing stuff in general, I had loads of questions before going on holiday to Florida that I didn't really get answered. Like, people were taking buckets and stuff like that to sterilize stuff in. We did not do any of that. We literally took the Tommy TP bottles, which is self-sterilizing. You just need to boil water in, or put water in and microwave it so they're boiled. So that sterilized was easy. So I'd recommend a self-sterilizing bottles. The Tommy TP ones are great. I love them. So I'd recommend that. In terms of how we sterilized like dummies and stuff, we just brought some sterilizing bags. Luckily, I knew about these because I used them in hospital when CJ was born, and they're great. So you just boil hot water, which you can use in your microwave if you have it in the room. But if you can't get it in the room, it's just going to be a little bit more annoying. You'll have to go to the kitchen or wherever they have the microwaves, but you'll just have to like batch do it. But what we did, if you can either do it by a kettle, boiling water basically, fill the sterilizing bag to the line, and then you literally just put like the dummies and stuff in, let it sterilize, and then you're done. So that way you don't have to take like bulky buckets. And I was just looking at that like system that people sometimes do, and it just didn't make sense to me, and I didn't really want to take a big bucket with me to do sterilizing with. So that was one of my top tips. I would also take with you the washing up liquid stick things. I'll put it on screen so you know what I'm talking about. But I'd take one of these with you to clean the bottles and just clean everything that your baby uses. Also, before you arrive, ask the hotel if they can provide a travel cot. We didn't take ours. Would recommend doing that. CJ in the end didn't even end up sleeping in it. He didn't like it. He just slept in our bed. But that's kids for you, right? And I don't like him sleeping in our bed for several reasons. But if you have to, you have to. But just get it just in case. Just request one. They'll put it in your room and it's less hassle. The biggest hurdle we actually faced was the car seat. We booked, obviously, a taxi from the airport to our hotel when we went to Florida, and we requested the car seat for them to have one. We could have took our own. You can take your own on flights if you feel more comfortable doing so. But when there was just 2 of us, that's a lot of luggage, 3 big suitcases, because CJ had his own, which I also recommend getting if you are traveling with an infant, which I guess most of you are if you're watching this video. But yeah, the car seat was the biggest hurdle, because when we got to Florida, I don't know if it will be the same in every country, but I feel like it will be. Under 6-month-old, if you didn't know, in the UK, you can actually have them on your lap if you feel comfortable. But beyond 6 months, they recommend a car seat, which I 100% agree with. I would always put my baby in a car seat because that's how I feel most comfortable. So when we went to Florida, we requested the taxis to have car seats. That was a bit of a faff doing so, but we got there in the end. So just ring around the taxis, ask that, make sure that's a priority, because that was one of our must-haves. Bear that in mind when you're abroad, that if one of you do want to go to the supermarket and you have to get into a car to get there, it might just be easier one of you go than you all go if you don't bring that car seat with you. Just bear that in mind when you are trying to get an Uber, because when we were in Florida, we couldn't request an Uber with a car seat. And that was our biggest hurdle. So, or we could get to our destination, but we couldn't get back without a car seat. So bear that in mind. In the end, we went separately, and that was fine for us to do so. But just bear that in mind. I think I have covered everything in terms of what the essentials are you need for an under 1-year-old. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or have any tips for anyone else, or if I've missed anything, because I feel like I have, but I also feel like I've covered a lot in this video. But drop me a question down below if you do have any, because obviously we've been on a recent flight with a 6-month-old, an under 1-year-old, and I feel like the same will apply to under 1-year-olds. When you get to toddler phase, I feel like it changes again. So let me know also if you want me to do an updated version of this when CJ turns 2, because I'm sure we'll go away again, whether it be Europe or Florida. I mean, I wish, but we'll see. So thank you so much for watching. If you have got this far, I hope this helps. Enjoy your holiday, book your holidays, tell me where you're going, because I love it. I love it. Mum to mum, taking your baby away. The stories that people tell me are they're so different, but so worth it. The plane journey, I think, is the bit where most parents get really overwhelmed. And I was quite overwhelmed more with the packing. The only other thing that I haven't mentioned is medication. Take the basics. So take temperature, take thermometer, bits like that, like you would. CJ was ill when we went on our flight, so take nasal sprays, whatever your baby needs, basically. Teething drugs. What is it called? Bonjela. Take all that as a just in case, because you never know when you can need it. But like I said, if there's an emergency shop or pharmacy nearby, that's probably your best option. But if your baby's ill beforehand, then take what you need. Take what's necessary. See, I knew I was going to forget something, and I'm sure I still am. But on that note, I hope you did enjoy this video. Like I said, pop any questions down below. Tell me your stories if you've been on holiday already as a mum. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your trips. See you soon. Bye.